Greetings, fellow dark and tortured creatures of the night. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the Main Street Cinema, the show where we discuss the finer points in filmmaking. And yeah, BlueDragonFive crossed another milestone off the list. You and I have seen Batman and Superman fight on screen. So Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice has finally hit theaters, and you and I are here to do a non-spoilery review, having just walked out of the theater. So BlueDragonFive, without any further ado, what did you think of Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice?
Well, going into it, there were moments where I was just completely awestruck and like, just observing some great beauty and just like, oh my god, this is so fantastic. There's so many great bits in here, but there were some bittersweet moments. So I wasn't... Essentially, I'm not saying I was let down, but it wasn't as perfect as I would have hoped it to be.
Okay, you know what, BlueDragonFive?
What?
This is the beauty of going in with dirt low expectations, my friend. I'm not saying the movie's great. I'm saying I think the movie's good. The movie's like a solid 7 out of 10 for me. I think it's a far better movie than something like Man of Steel or Dark Knight Rises. You know how I feel about those movies. So I think it's a step up. I think we're going in the right direction, at least.
Let's just say I'm with you with that to an extent. Like I'm in the kind of the I'm like between a 6.5 and a 7.
Okay.
And
that's exactly where I am too. It's funny, we're kind of hitting the exact same spot.
However, right. I would rank Man of Steel over this though as a film.
I would not. I have a lot of problems with Man of Steel, and this was just, I don't know, this was a lot of fun, and that's what Man of Steel was lacking for me. Man of Steel was lacking fun. But so let's break it down. I mean, do you want to any like in theater experiences that you want to talk about at all?
Well,
like anything that with the build up?
Let me hit you with a story here, little story here. So, based on going to Star Wars, which I guess was kind of the last huge film, not of this year, but of tail end of last year. Really, it was kind of the big event, and this I assume would be kind of the other big event. Don't get me wrong, Deadpool was for me huge, but I would assume like Deadpool fans would be the most mainly populating that theater.
Well, yeah, Deadpool was, I mean, that was definitely like not the 3-hour-long line that Star Wars was, but it was an event in its own right.
Yeah, regardless, that's exactly what I'm getting at here. So the 3-hour line for study, my colleagues and I, we showed up 2 hours before Star Wars, and we were fine. We got in there perfectly. At points, we planned that, and it all worked swimmingly. Again, we were right to do so because it was a huge line, huge everything. We got to decent seats and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, we accounted for that with Batman v Superman, and don't get me wrong, it filled up. It did, but apparently I was out there 4 hours early for nothing.
No. Oh,
no. My point is, I don't mean nothing negatively. I'm just saying I was out 4 hours where I really could have shown up. Basically, you weren't stuck in a line waiting on the outside like you were with Star Wars. You were able to walk in the theater instantly and get your seats, which, it's...
Yeah, pretty much the same thing with me. There were like 3 primo seats right next to me that just no one took.
But you got to remember though, like my main issue is I was waiting for others to show up because again we carved out a lot of the day just for people to gradually show up instead of just pretty much just gonna come the last minute though. Mm-hmm. But regardless, so we arrived, we got seats. Main thing was just saving seats for the others to get there. But It filled up at kind of at the last minute over kind of like that hour niche.
Okay. All right, so let's dive right into some characters, like just kind of the main ones. So let's take the main event. What do you think of Batfleck?
Ben Affleck delivered a very wonderful performance. He was fantastic as Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Mm-hmm. To tell you the truth, yeah, there was nothing I can really complain about with him. He's the directing was spot on in terms of just making him very intimidating, even in the fight scenes and whatnot. There's spoilery stuff I want to get into in regards to his character that we'll save for the spoiler cast. I think, honestly, I feel like his interactions with Superman, this isn't his fault. This isn't Affleck's fault. I just feel like the writing could have been a little bit stronger on that end. But we'll talk about that in the spoiler cast, like I said.
I think broadly, just with the characterization of this Batman Bruce Wayne, I think definitely Affleck said he's playing the anger on Batman. Right? I think that definitely comes through with Bruce. You get to see kind of the anger in the what I love about one of the main elements I really love about Batman is character, the drive, and just seeing kind of those moments of just him. Let's just say getting ready for the big battle. Superman was just training. It's in the trailers, you know. It's like him training and getting in shape and stuff, and you get to see kind of that the look in his eye, just him just getting ready for stuff, you know.
Yeah, totally.
You get a sense this guy's going to do all he can to achieve something. And that's something I really liked, and that definitely showed in certain points in the movie. And with Batman specifically, the Batman side of things, they played him up as kind of the without getting too much here. Not getting into how exactly, but they really kind of played up kind of the legend of the Batman. The kind of the almost supernatural, not supernatural per se, but I mean, he seems like no one knows if he's like a man or not. Like it's something otherworldly.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of what Nolan was trying to do with Batman Begins, but just executed even better than he was able to execute in Batman Begins, where Batman is truly like a symbol, like something to be feared, and something where that's just gonna fuck with the heads of the criminals. And I feel like they did a great job establishing that.
Oh yeah.
So really, really quick, thumbs up on Irons.
Oh, Irons was everything I wanted him to be, and he was fantastic. Again, going into this movie, like towards the last thing, just after you've been kind of bombarded with kind of just you already know you're hyped for Batman, Superman, all the stuff, Batfleck and so on and so forth. But I mean, Irons though, just seeing him in like the really impressive last trailer we got. When he was like kicking butt and taking names in the last trailer. Jeremy Irons there as Alfred's kind of saying, let me drop you off on the second floor. It's in the trailer, But points at that point forward, he's kind of like, okay, this Alfred's gonna be so great, and he was. It was one of the, I'm trying to think if he maybe is. Okay, would you rank him over Kane or no?
No, I can't. I can't just
but
after one movie.
Though. Let's
see him in a standalone Batman movie, and let's see how well he does there. Well, I can't say he's better than Kane based on one movie because Kane had a whole trilogy to wow us.
Let's say this though: we've had all through all of Batman, we've had very impressive Alfreds.
Oh, totally. Alfred
has been one
of the most consistent characters, like throughout, the animation, the voices. Yeah, every Alfred has been
never had a bad Alfred.
Totally. Okay, so I guess you want to get to soups?
Yeah, let's get the soupy.
No soups for you.
Oh
god. I kind of feel the same way about Superman, this movie, that I did in the last movie. I kind of feel like he's just, I don't know, like he's fine. I feel like Cavill's acting is probably slightly improved over Man of Steel. I definitely get the struggle he's going through. I like the political aspects of the character, kind of like the Dr. Manhattan-esque way that they're building up Superman. I liked all that. I don't know. There's just something off about, like, it feels like they're trying to create Superman more in the vein of just, the dark and brooding figure. And I don't necessarily think that's what Superman is. I want to see more of, like, the dork with the glasses bumbling around. And I understand this is a reboot and we can't have everything exactly like it was, but I don't know. I feel like a little bit of Superman's humanity is kind of lost in the translation.
Well, let me. I think I know you're getting at, Tig, and I think it's not exactly that, but I think it's more so the issue is that, again, without giving anything away, the main issue is we don't get enough with him. And again, this whole movie is supposed to be Superman's movie. It's supposed to be a sequel for Man of Steel, but let's just face it, it's kind of Batman's movie.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
Wrong,
so that's not a bad thing. Yeah. That's certainly not a bad thing.
But I mean, initially when I heard that news, because it was always sold as kind of Man of Steel, and from every point where we were speculating in the past, we always thought it was going to be, at least I did, I always thought it was going to be kind of Superman's movie, and Batman would be help get the point for his character evolution. Regardless, I mean, I still think what they're going with the humanity of Superman, I mean, it's there, but we just don't have enough to kind of let that sink in and kind of experiment with that a little bit. I mean, the idea is there, and I mean, there are bits in there where you get to see kind of that humanity we liked. we like kind of the seeds of being planted in Man of Steel kind of come to fruition there. And if you look at this as his movie, even though it's not, just if you looked at it as what it initially set out to be, this whole movie would be kind of the second dark act for Superman, where everything, all the scrutiny falls down, all the bad stuff happens to him.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I almost do feel like this is structured as an Empire Strikes Back to Man of Steel in a way.
I think that's kind of what they're going for. I think just through the course of making a movie and all the DC Universe connections, they kind of lost sight of that.
I hear you. I hear you.
But I mean, again, I think I can see the humanity and what they're doing with Superman coming through here. And I like right at the beginning, without giving anything away, they are actually. It's funny. I've actually talked to this writer, and he actually is not crazy about Man of Steel, but they did borrow from his stuff.
No, someone who's not crazy about Man of Steel. Go on.
Let's just say one of the best Superman writers, Mark Waid, who also is a fantastic Daredevil writer. By the way, he loves. He loves those two characters so much, Daredevil and Superman. He writes them both very well. And oddly enough, I think, I'm not saying I got through him or anything, but I mean, I point out, actually the Daredevil Netflix show is kind of similar to what you're doing, at least in my perspective. I don't know that, maybe stuck with him or not, but that pointed out. Regardless, my main point is, like, there's an element of like one of his famous Superman stories that kind of comes through with Superman towards the beginning of this movie. They don't really do much with it. I'm just saying it's kind of like it's they are reaching to a deep comic Superman, just kind of like a Clark Kent, just kind of. This is kind of the thoughtful Clark Kent kind of factoring the world's views through Superman.
Sure.
Which I did appreciate. Again, I like kind of a lot of the ideas that are had with Superman here, but it kind of gets lost in things towards as the movie goes on. All
right, let's kind of quickly go through some of Superman's periphery characters. Amy Adams, Lois Lane. Here's my problem with her. I think she was one of the weaker elements of the movie. I felt like the writers just kind of were forcing her into scenes just to be like an element of the plot, just to move the plot forward. And I don't think it was handled in a great way. I felt like some of her scenes really dragged.
Yeah, just in general, I like Amy Adams, and I like Amy Adams as Lois Lane. I really like that casting. I like how she performs that character. But you're right, Dig. She is kind of squeezed in there. I mean, I think again at the beginning, I think she has
more screen time than she really should have had in this movie. I mean, that's my main problem.
I mean, yeah, at the beginning there, I do think she is kind of. It makes sense where she is towards the beginning, and helping kind of. Well, again, what we know is right. She's kind of giving Superman the pep talk that he needs. And, like when she's put into Superman's life, it makes sense. But like when she's kind of in the third act and kind of sparse throughout, and like her little investigation through the movie, and not getting the specifics, it doesn't feel as natural as I think we'd like it to be, which is troublesome in a movie where apparently 2.5 hours, yet we still can't just kind of follow our simple through lines.
Right. Come on.
Again, we get cool stuff. We do. We get a lot of cool stuff thrown at us, and what sticks. But I mean, it's just it's a lot. It's like we're trying to eat through the candy necklace, so to speak. We have a bunch of sour stuff in between.
Let's talk one of the positives. I actually thought Lawrence Fishburne, once again, a small role. I thought I was more engaged in his character this time around than I was in Man of Steel. I think he really kind of stepped up here.
I love, again, this is the only closest to a spoiler I'm going to say, but I do love how kind of cheap Perry White is.
Yes, absolutely.
He's hysterical. But yeah, Lawrence Fishburne, I really liked him as Perry White in Man of Steel.
I've always liked that casting. I think he really came alive in this movie more than he did in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Very, very quick. I think Martha Kent was, I always liked that speech that she gave in the first trailer for this movie.
Yeah.
And I think it works really well in the context of the movie. Other than that, she doesn't really get a lot to do other than be like,
well, let's not sugarcoat. She's only in really 1.5 scenes.
Right. So,
so literally, folks, that scene from the trailer, I'm gonna just so you get your expectations a little lower on Martha Kent here. Just
it works well though. I like it in the context.
It's great. It's a great scene. It randomly, again, that's one of the problems with the movie. It randomly just goes by like that. It's there. Good scene. We're feeling all warm and fuzzy, and then cut to the next point.
Well, we'll get to that in pros and cons, my friend. Trust me. Okay. Very, very quickly, I guess Jenny Olsen is our new Jimmy Olsen.
Okay. Well, we can't get into spoilers, but let's just say that something. I'm trying not to spoil it.
I know it's hard. We always do this dance without
I don't.
spoiler casts.
Let's just say, because remember, one of my big pet peeves with Man of Steel that hopefully with I was hoping this movie would correct, and they kind of
Nope.
didn't.
Nope.
Basically, I was really ticked off with the idea of Jenny Olsen, and they because they heard such a backlash, they got rid of the Olsen just not to tick anyone off, and it's still the case. They didn't really say Olsen, so
yeah, but she's still there.
I'm convinced that they're just they wanted to do something, and they made an even worse mistake, and they just didn't want to make anyone angry further, so they still didn't call her Olsen just because they don't want to. Basically, they keep making a mistake upon mistake on Jimmy Olsen. Let's just say that much.
All right, so let's see. Very quickly, I guess. How do you feel about Wonder Woman without giving any spoilers away?
Wonder Woman was fine. She was good.
She was okay. I mean, her acting was like fine. I don't know. I'm still skeptical about her carrying her own movie, but
I will say I think she was worked in well.
Yeah. I don't think it's a spoiler to say she gets involved with the end fight, right?
Mm-hmm. But let me say this though, just like kind of a big positive. I guess I'll save it for pros and cons.
But yeah, I do think that in the end fight she was used very well. I'll just say that much about her. Mm. Anyways, so I guess the only other major player at least would be Lex.
Yes.
So, oh boy.
So, Tiki, what did you think of Lex Luthor? Or Alexander Luthor Jr., we should say.
I'm not completely giving up hope. I'm not completely giving up hope. I'm going to say that much. I didn't. Yeah, I can't say it was great. I can't say it was great.
Okay, look, I think I found some nice middle ground for us here.
Okay.
With Luthor, I thought when I was watching the movie, my reaction to it was at first I was like hoping
it was not what I was hoping the performance would be. I think the problem with Luthor was the tone. I think he was way too comedic. There was not any of that dark underlying element that you and I were both hoping for. But I think going forward, they have it set it up well where there could be that dark underlying element. Well, that's all I'll say about Luthor.
What I was getting at.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When I was watching it, I had my initial reaction was, because again, I was hoping going into it, again, I was hoping for that Eisenberg that was kind of like, again, I haven't seen Social Network, but for me personally, I've seen like, and now you see me just kind of that guy walks in the room, kind of like knows he's thinking 10 steps ahead of everyone else, but you can make for an excellent Lex Luthor. Now, initially.
That's exactly what I was wanting to see, yeah.
Exactly, which is what we both wanted to see, because again, Eisenberg had potential. Now, that said, and I'm with you, there still is potential. Let me get into why I think that. So. Watching it initially, he's not doing it for you. Like red capes are coming, get all that stuff that wasn't really kind of winning audiences over, and do not want to pick a fight with this guy, which is kind of funny, but
yeah, there was a lot of awkward laughter coming from the audience on Luthor's part. Like they weren't really sure if they were supposed to be laughing at him or not, and I was kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, regardless of at a certain point, like in the first half, I think just sectioning off just off the top of my head, because again we just saw it. I would say like the first half, Luthor just didn't do it for me. But I mean, the first of the three acts, I guess. First act didn't do it for me. But there was a point in, let's just say there was a point in the second act, I guess, if I'm thinking of the right act. There was a turning point. I'm not going to say what it was, but there was a turning point where Lex, from that point forward till the end of the movie, he got interesting for me. Or at least I could at least see where he was. Basically, where I was at least buying into this Lex. Before I was not completely into him at all. Then it was like, okay, I see what they're going for. And then by the end, I was like, okay, there's definitely some potential here.
Totally.
Yeah, basically, it continued the build of like, I see what they're going for now. After all the comedic stuff was in the first act, and it's like, okay, now we're getting some actual Luthor stuff here. And then by the end,
I'm excited to see him in Justice League. I think he can really shine in Justice League.
Yeah, basically, let's just say Luthor, he's now kind of made a mark.
Oh yeah.
But again, I don't think he's. I definitely don't think he's. Out at least judging from this film so far. Again, so far, I don't think he's going to outshine Gene Hackman or Kevin Spacey quite yet.
Yeah, I think he has the potential to outshine Kevin Spacey eventually, like with future movies.
No, it's not good. Kevin Spacey we're talking about here.
No, it's Kevin Spacey, but you've got to admit that wasn't the greatest movie.
Well, I'm just saying Kevin Spacey still was pretty awesome.
Anyways. So pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons. Score was absolutely fantastic.
Boom. Totally agree. 100% agree. I think this is my favorite Hans Zimmer superhero score.
Let's say just a few right off the top there. One is called I'm trying to think Batman's themes. Like it's called "We Are Men" or "Men." It's like the men is.
Hold on. I was literally just listening to it on YouTube. Let me pull up my history.
Likewise, because it's just so good, folks. You just have to listen to it. Again, what I like overall with the score, mainly with the Batman stuff or Batman related stuff, is that we heard a bit of it at Comic-Con.
I think the Batman and the Superman stuff works and weaves incredibly well into each other. I think that's. Like, it's so good.
The way I can best describe the Batman theme, mainly the theme, but also kind of stemming from this main theme that Tiki's about to list off after I get done talking.
Hold on 1 sec. The track is called Men Are Still Good.
Thank you. So Men Are Still Good is kind of Batman's main thing, which is awesome, but I mean, they have it either stems from this bit or I forget if it's actually worked into this bit, but I heard this little sliver at Comic-Con when they played the intro music for Ben Affleck and the rest of the cast, and they played the theme for the movie, and what I loved about it is that it was basically, it sounds like the Man of Steel Hans Zimmer theme mixed with Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which for my money, again, is the 100% perfected state of Batman the Animated Series, which has basically the operatic version of the Batman theme from Batman the Animated Series. And basically it feels like that mixed in with kind of the Hans Zimmer kind of Superman, Man of Steel verse we have going on here. I mean, they mix so well together, making for this purely awesome Batman.
And I think by far probably my favorite element of Man of Steel was the score. I thought the Hans Zimmer score, while not as instantly iconic as John Williams, and I don't think it's going to replace John Williams, it's still damn good.
Yes, and also some of the other themes are real quick. I love Wonder Woman's theme.
Yes. I really like Eisenberg's Luther theme. I think it's kooky. It's appropriately kooky.
He's got a great kind of classy theme too. It sounds like kind of Machiavellian, you know?
Totally.
Like Chuck McGill's playing this somewhere on piano.
Oh god.
But yeah, score was just one unequivocally just brilliant part of the film. Just
definitely
fantastic. Let's see.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you like a pro and a con that like work in conjunction with each other to make this movie kind of a mess. All right, are you ready?
What?
Okay, pro, directing.
Yes.
Con, editing.
Can I go into with the directing?
Go ahead.
Okay, without saying, because we'll save it for the spoiler cast, but my favorite part of this movie relates very heavily on the directing, and it's can I give like when the section is?
That's up to you. Yeah, it's the spoilers are kind of at your discretion. I think you care more about the spoilers than I do, but I'm just playing along.
My favorite part of this film is in kind of the prologue openings we have. That's my favorite part of this film. Absolutely, I won't say what they are, but I just tell you that the first prologue is just absolutely the most well-directed thing in this film.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Basically, I had the same oddly enough, I had a similar reaction to a bit from Man of Steel, or it just kind of got me instantly like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. We've never seen this.
I don't think it's giving much away by saying that, like, as soon as I saw the leaves blowing by on the Warner Brothers logo,
yes,
I was hooked. I was hooked. Like, I was into it. I was like, okay. You know what I mean? I don't think that's giving anything away, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like Man of Steel had this moment where the opening of Man of Steel had this bit where I was like, oh my god, we've never seen something like this before. It's like a little element of this character's history that we rarely or ever have seen. And it's just, but in this case, it's something we've seen many times before. But the way they do it, it's like the most well directed, yet faithful, yet original thing you've ever seen.
Oh, and man, it's just like the pearls.
Yes, it's something that it's so beautifully directed. It might be one of the most well directed things Zack Snyder's ever done. This little sequence here is it's beautiful.
I would wager to say Zack Snyder is very restrained in this movie, surprisingly fucking enough. Like, I honestly don't think a lot of the flaws of this movie stem from Snyder. I actually give Snyder a lot of credit here, which if you know me, you know that's rare. And there's some shots in the trailer that I thought looked overly stylistic, but in the movie, I thought worked really well in context. I think the Day of the Dead scene is a good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the other prologue, particularly, again, kind of dancing around it here. It's just, let's just say it feels very true to it feels so true to the Batman character for me. Just it really
Totally.
both, let's just say both of these are Batman related, because again, Batman is kind of our main character in this movie. That's, just, these two sequences feel very well representative of the character. It's kind of a really great foot to step off on for this, like the perfect first step into this movie. Just like, yes, I'm just like, oh my god, this is, I'm in. I want to see how this goes. And yeah, again, it's kind of stumble a little bit through points in this film, but I mean, again, that opening though is just, those two bits just perfectly set up this film, and again, just kind of attribute this character in particular.
Okay, but let's talk about the editing, though, because I think that's where we kind of start to get into the rocky territory.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So again, as I mentioned with the Martha Kent thing, it's like kind of, it's a nice scene, but again, we've seen the trailer, but that's not important. But the point is, it's just it's a nice sentiment. Cut to the next scene, just like a little sliver of Martha Kent.
I'm actually willing to bet that this 3-hour R-rated director's cut that we're going to see is going to be really good.
I would hope so.
I wager to bet, because this feels like it was chopped up. It just feels like scenes are just, spotched together, like scenes were cut at the last minute. It feels like an editing rush job. It really does. It feels like a second draft of what should be like a 4-draft editing process.
There are definitely places where you figure things are missing. And I mean, like, let's just say something regarding to the bat signal, of like there's no setup for the bat signal.
Totally.
And yeah, with that, it's like, how can you have that line if you don't set up the? I mean, we've seen the bat signal enough times, yes, but I mean, if a character is going to mention this thing, it's kind of important that he knows the bat signal is.
I kind of wish that we got that scene with the Joker. I assume the reason why we didn't see it is that it's R-rated, which I think would probably justify why we don't see it. But
well, you gotta remember that scene may or may not have to do with the fact that I've heard it's been speculated that what they want to do with Batman going forward is, again, I think the logical step would be to do a prequel, so you can have your solo Batman stories without kind of worrying about being in a big universe. And regardless, the story that's now been kicked around, what they want to do, and I could be very interesting, is doing a proper, interesting version of Death in the Family. So basically, the death.
Yes, I'd be totally down for that.
Because again, you gotta remember, Tiki. I don't know if you've read the comic or not.
I haven't read it all, but I'm definitely familiar with the story.
Yeah, basically, the big event there, death of Jason Todd at the Joker's hand.
Of course.
Really, after that moment happens, I want to say it's in issue 1, or because remember, it's like, because it's kind of like, it's, the cliffhanger says probably issue 2 is when he finds the body, I guess. Point is, those last 2 issues are they kind of get really weird, and it's like it's Batman going after to find the Joker. The Joker has a really weird plot, and it's basically, there'd be a chance to kind of do what they do with the Red Hood animated film, where it's kind of they take a really good idea and they kind of take a really off the wall idea, but they make it work, or take an iconic event and they really kind of make it a really good movie, which could definitely happen with Death in the Family. Sort of.
Okay. We kind of already mentioned some things where Amy Adams, I feel, kind of had an uneven amount of screen time. It's not that I don't like her performance or her character. It's just I feel like she was kind of like written unnecessarily into certain scenes, just to kind of like for plot convenience purposes.
On an unrelated note, I would like to see a scene with her in the R-rated cut. Unrelated.
Oh dear. Whoa. Okay. And let's see, also just kind of like, I feel like it's a little bit uneven. I feel like Superman should have had more of his story told. Without getting into spoilers, the actual Batman and Superman dynamic is a disappointment to me. And I can't say anything more about that without getting into spoilers.
Let's just say, again, my hopes were that...
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, my hopes are that, again, it would be maybe someone that holds a candle to the world's finest in my heart, and it's definitely not the case with this film. Does not hold
No. It's funny. I saw on Facebook today people were posting a lot of, like the kids' version of Batman versus Superman. is a lot more mature than the adult version of Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, because in World's Finest, just again, that was kind of as we talked about at length, that is the version that kind of set the example for a Batman Superman movie.
Right.
And you've seen it yourself, so you tell me, do you think it kind of compared? Which one's more superior?
I gotta say, like, just again, I can't say why the Batman Superman interaction stuff doesn't do it for me. I can't without going into spoiler territory. I really can't. So I just want to leave it at that.
Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any more kind of pros and cons we can talk about. Again, pros. Again, the 80% of the Batman stuff is utterly fantastic. It is. The big 20. Let's just say there's a big whopping 20% we'll get into with. Let's just say he's a little. It's not that he's just brutal. It's not just the Dark Knight Returns.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but yeah.
Let's just say there were a lot of moments that made me feel like it was 1989 again.
Good way to put it. Yeah.
The point is, like, they were kind of going for the Dark Knight Returns brutality, which definitely shows in places, and that's expected. Again, since the death of Jason Todd, you can assume he's gone down a darker path, a more hopeless, kind of brutal. I think you got to remember, he's a huge bruiser of a guy too, so he can't really help
totally
violence. But let's just say the non-hand-to-hand sort of stuff. That's when we kind of run into some issues of excessive brutality, which we'll get into.
Okay, I want to bring up one thing, and I don't think it's a spoiler to bring up the fact that the Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg get teased in this movie.
Yes,
we think it was well done.
Well, again, we have maneuver around this, so we don't give away too much.
Yeah.
I think for the most, it's kind of back in the day when we were speculating what this movie was going to be, and when we heard these guys announce. I mean, I was hoping that they wouldn't overshadow the movie. Just before we found out it was going to be 2.5 hours long. Bear in mind, I was hoping they were going to have like a minimal role, and Wonder Woman would be kind of like the Nick Fury saying, "Hey, you're part of a bigger world right now," and like basically be the Nick Fury thing, and basically then maybe they have like a little. I thought they were going to be worked in. Let's just say I thought they were going to be worked in a lot more naturally. They weren't. It was kind of I think Chris Stuckman put it best. It was kind of like a Thor Ragnarok sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't think it was quite as distracting as Thor Ragnarok. But
no. I mean,
like, hey, look at this. Look what's coming up in the next movie.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There was more of a logic applied to, like, it makes sense that, okay, well, that's how this character, shorter on time would find out this sort of stuff. And it's a way to kind of get them out there. It's kind of get them in there briefly. And yeah, it's like a few of those glimpses. I mean, I like the glimpses themselves. I do too. Definitely. I mean, I like the glimpses. I think one of them in particular is a little too cryptic. And there's a whole sequence that's just really kind of a head scratcher, which we're not going to talk about now. Point is, just, I mean, those basically the way they kind of introduced them, the way they set up the idea. At least it was brief. At least it didn't kind of overshadow things. At least it didn't kind of muddy things up too much. And it's like it didn't take long. So I mean, it wasn't the worst that it could be.
Okay, I have one quick thing that I thought was a little distracting, and that's that I feel like this movie had way too many dream scenes.
Well, yes, it's not that there's too many dream scenes. I mean,
it was literally to the point where I was like fucking paranoid that if what I was watching was a dream or not. And this isn't Inception. It's not supposed to be like that. The plot doesn't work like that.
Oddly enough, Christopher Nolan produced this movie.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, no, not every movie is Inception, Nolan.
It's not so much that. No. Yes, I think it's more just kind of.
Am I just crazy? Like, because I definitely got a sense of paranoia with the way this movie was edited.
No, you're right about that paranoia. I'm with you there with the paranoia. I'm saying it's not exactly. It's with the dream themselves. It's just kind of the fake outs. That's what I mean. It's like they're.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I just couldn't trust any scene I was watching at face value. Like, it was very distracting.
Let's just say the ending to one of my favorite parts of the film. It just, I think that's just kind of those in particular work a lot better than the rest of the other fake out dream sequences. Because that one's like, you can just factor in, okay, well, that's actually what happened. Was now it just has more of a kind of an artistic spin put on it,
The one at the beginning
Yeah.
fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
I love the symbolism involved there. I love the imagery. Absolutely fantastic.
I mean, again, the
It
imagery you
kept
can
going
just.
and going.
Yeah, I mean, the same that imagery at the beginning there. It's like you can factor in that. Yeah, it's just that's what logically happened next, but more kind of like an artistic spin, kind of blurring out the reality of that situation.
Totally.
And let's just say there's another dream sequence. There is one in particular really awesome dream sequence that comes a little later on in connection to that first event.
Yeah, but
That
you
was a
agree
good.
with me that it's just like it's kind
I'm
of a
saying
mess
it's
the way
not
that they're
helping with the
scattered
fact
around.
it's not helping with the fact there's too much. I'll admit that, but I'm saying if you could have had one though, that was a pretty neat one to have.
Totally. Okay, I think that's about it. Let's get into kind of final thoughts and also maybe like the future of the Batman and DC movies.
Okay, well, let's get into I guess we should get into the future before final thoughts.
Okay. So, Lego Batman, totally not connected to this, but what do you think?
That looks so good.
Did they show the trailer in your theater?
Well, here's what they did. You know, it's weird. You cannot find the trailer. There's the teaser trailers on YouTube, which I had no idea about. I came into the Lego thing, it was a complete surprise. I was very happy about, and we saw the first trailer at the movie. You know, my theater also got the trailer with the footage of other Batman related stuff, which was great. And we have a little taste of Ralph Fiennes Alfred, which again, yet another Ray Fiennes Alfred, which again. Another long line of excellent Alfreds.
Of course.
You know, we've had David McCullum, we've had Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., and now
Michael Gough, of course.
Yeah, I'm talking about like animated Alfreds.
Oh, okay.
You know, now Ray Fiennes even better.
I think the comedic sensibilities are completely intact. I think Will Arnett is probably going to be like a driving force behind this whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised if he improvises a lot of Batman's lines.
Did you hear who they cast as the Joker?
No, who do they cast?
Zach Galifianakis.
That's right. I think that's a really clever outside-the-box choice.
I'll tell you what's funny about that. The fact he has a show where he plays a rodeo clown.
Okay. Oh, God.
But seriously, don't underestimate Zach Galifianakis in terms of animation because he did a voice in Puss in Boots.
I do not underestimate Zach Galifianakis, my friend. I think Zach Galifianakis is kind of a sleeper of an actor. I think most people kind of point to his Hangover stuff. I mean, I thought he was like one of the most underrated parts of Birdman, for example. I thought he really killed it in Birdman.
I mean, don't know. I didn't like him in Due Date, but I've liked him in other things.
Well, Due Date was kind of like in the Hangover haze. You know what I mean?
Well, literal haze, it feels like.
Oh God.
But anyway, but yeah, Galifianakis could definitely. I mean, Puss in Boots, he did a really excellent job doing a voice of Humpty Dumpty in that.
Okay, right.
But regardless, I'm just saying Zach Galifianakis is an interesting choice for this. That wouldn't be my first choice, but I think he could do it.
But, you know, I think we can agree that with pretty much every Joker, it's like it wouldn't be my first choice, but it sounds intriguing.
Yep. But again, I think what really jazzed me about this Batman thing. First of all, I just love the look of kind of the smoking jacket with the Batman cowl on. I just love that look, by the way. But I love what those clips symbolize to me. Is just like, oh my God, this movie has the potential with the Lego Movie genius behind it of being kind of the ultimate tribute to Batman. Over 75 plus years.
That's what I'm saying, exactly. Because if you think of the way the Lego Movie did, like the whole like gambit of history with the Lego sets and everything, they could do the same exact thing. It's like there could be like jokes about like the Batman, because like you know, one of the things specifically that the trailer did was name every fucking Batman movie from '89 up until Batman versus Superman. So that to me implies that there could be jokes about like, oh, look at the Batman and Robin Lego toys. Oh, way to kill the franchise, guys.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Two things is one. Again, what it could do is it could bring kind of if it does it right, it could be the most emotional Batman thing we've ever seen.
I think, if it does it right.
I'm saying Lego. If it pulled like a third act Lego movie at some point in that movie, it could definitely be that.
The thing with the third act thing is that we already know it's coming, so it wouldn't really be a reveal anymore. So they have to have some other clever way to do it.
I'm just saying something emotional like that. I'm not saying it has to be that exact same thing. I'm just something kind of like adding to the heart of like just something like. I mean, there was a bit in the trip we kind of gleaned from about him kind of like doing the morning that what.
I just said I hear you. I'm sorry.
There's that like this bit where he's mourning the parents. I believe they have like a little taste of that and everything. There's like, are you thinking about your parents? No. But I was saying if they could like pull the string there and just kind of like basically, if they could somehow communicate why Batman connects with kids in a movie, that could be really big.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm not saying anything new, but it could be really kind of like just a great tribute to Batman after all these years and the impact he has on, all these different versions. And the other thing, though, I desperately want there to be, and I'm going to be very, again, I shouldn't say very, but I want there to be like an animated series. There's no mention of Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I want some animated Batman in that Lego movie.
Yeah, I hear you.
Give me like some reference to it, okay? Just give me some good reference, because you know me, I go out of my mind when I see that 1992 model Batman.
Of course. All right, so let's briefly kind of cover a few more DC movies coming up. Suicide Squad, I'm still very excited for.
Yeah,
I think that has the potential to kind of blow the lid off this whole DC universe thing.
I have more faith in Suicide Squad. Not that I didn't have like faith in it all, because again, Suicide Squad is, on its face is always a good premise. It's always going to do good.
Mm.
There's never really been a bad Suicide Squad. There hasn't.
Okay, Wonder Woman, the movie, I'm still very skeptical about how that's going to work. I like the ambition that I'm hearing about the way they're doing it, like the plot, but I don't know. Gal Gadot still hasn't really sold me yet in being a leading lady material.
Well, two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, there has been a recent development, a recent word of mouth going around. So, an actual fear we should an actual concern we should actually address here.
Okay.
Recent development with again, we can't say underperformance because it kind of just barely came out today. Tomorrow really kind of the advertised day is tomorrow.
Right.
My point is, the word is like if it's underperforming or not. Whether there's a fear that if the movie is kind of if the critics have hurt this film financially.
The critics have definitely hurt this film, I think. Basically, it's got like a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that.
I guess not like a 38 or something.
I don't think is warranted at all. I would, like you and I said, I would wager maybe like 55, 60%.
I guess between a 65, generously a 70.
Yeah, I think generously a 70. Yeah, I would definitely go as high as 60 on my end.
Yeah. I mean, no lower than 60. Regardless, let's see, what was I getting at here? Right. So yeah, if the critics, if what the critics have been saying hurts the movie financially, from what I hear, I just read an article before we went on here. DC might have to restructure their whole cinematic universe plan. So now, what that would entail? Here's what they has locked in the can. That means from this point forward, this is what they have to do, and then going forward, that's when we would consider changing things if they were to go that way. So, right now we have Suicide Squad on the way this year. That's in the can, it's locked in there. Wonder Woman, which we've seen footage of, that one's in the works. So it'd be kind of foolish to turn back now on that. Now, those, to my knowledge, because I forget if Flash or Aquaman was also attached to Wonder Woman, but we haven't really seen any footage. So as far as we're concerned, that could still be up in the air. Point is, the Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman would be the next ones, and then from that point forward, we know Batman would be squeezed in, because how can you not make him up? Again, just talked about Death in the Family Batman, or a prequel to Batman.
Yeah, I definitely want that movie to be directed by Ben Affleck as well. I'd be disappointed if it wasn't.
And we were suspecting that even though there was like a whole announced doing this, all these various Justice League movies announced in these years. They're still going to do Justice
League. We still got to get Justice League. Yeah, we still got to get Justice League. If anything else, we've got to get Justice League.
Yeah, they cast J.K. Simmons, and basically to kind of compete with the Avengers, like they were kind of seeding in this movie. They're going to do a Justice League movie at some point, regardless. The point is, we always figured they were going to squeeze in some additional movies like Sandman or this prequel Batman film amongst all.
I hear there's some really troubling development stuff going on with Sandman.
My point is, it's not out of the realm possibly for them to squeeze in additional DC films in the midst of all, there was the talked about Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie,
right? And then Shazam is kind of up in the air a little bit.
So the point is, they could squeeze in some things in between those movies, but if not, if there has been a large slate cleared of just kind of the essentials, such as your Justice Leagues and your again, if they're doing it in two parts or not, because again, it looks like we've seen what they do in 2.5 hours. If I were them, I might stretch it back, maybe kind of get it back to one. I don't know. Maybe. I'm just throwing it out there. Regardless, doing their Justice League, doing their Batmans, doing their some of their other films. I don't know, I'm just saying maybe this could be a chance for them to restructure things if they kind of scale back on like all of their plans. Like, we got to focus on these characters, or do they keep the current plan and just kind of, again, make these characters stronger so they can find their footing for when they do Justice League, because again, they got Wonder Woman,
Well,
Aquaman,
I
and
think if
Flash.
anything, I think it's going to be likely that we're going to see Suicide Squad and then Wonder Woman next year. And then I think it's likely we might just, speed run the Justice League into production.
Yeah, because you got to remember, Batman is always kind of the safe bet, so they can always kind of go to the Batman well when in doubt.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. I really do think they're going to do Justice League sooner rather than later, though. I think that's
a fair prediction, Tiki. It's a fair prediction.
Okay, but we kind of have to wrap this up. So
anyway, so overall thoughts.
Final thoughts. Yeah.
Oh yeah, final thoughts.
I think the critics are kind of tearing this movie apart unnecessarily. I definitely think it's a step up from what we got in Man of Steel. You kind of disagree with me on that, but overall, you and I have kind of very similar thoughts on this movie. We're both kind of leaning between a 6.5 and a 7. I think it's kind of funny that that's the same exact read we got on it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, just overall, I thought, it's like, there were a lot of good stuff in here, a lot of good imagery, good music, directorial choices, but sloppy editing, sloppy storytelling, just overall a very mixed bag.
Yeah, again, it kind of, a part of me feels crestfallen just not being as jazzed out of my mind about it as I would have liked to be. But, again, it's not, again, I didn't have with my expectations, I want it to be good, like anyone.
I have more expectations for Suicide Squad. Like, if Suicide Squad ends up being a mixed bag of a movie like this, then I'm going to be a lot more let down about the DC universe as a whole.
I mean, look, you got to remember, the expectations always are subject to change, especially all these new details coming out. Or but again, we had all these expectations laid out way back when they just said Man of Steel 2 is going to have Batman in it. Again, these change with then it's Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and they're changing all these things, and all the expectations keep changing. We get trailers that kind of hype us up, okay, well, this could happen, this could happen, and unfortunately, it can't all be Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool was, for me, again, just something I've been waiting.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for anything to top Deadpool this year.
Again, going into this movie, for me, the last thing I'll say, we kind of go into this movie, but I was convinced myself, I just want Deadpool to still stay the highest grossing movie worldwide for this year until Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice comes out, because I figure, okay, well, the first weekend that's going to make $1 billion, because how can you not? Because it's these two characters on screen.
I don't know, man. I think we might have a situation where Deadpool beats Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, but you see what I mean, though. So that was my expectation going in. Only real kind of broad expectation that, okay, well, how can it not make it's going to be these two 75-year-plus characters.
It's going to make a lot of money. It will. I just don't think it's going to make Star Wars or Deadpool kind of money.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just basically my 3 movies this year is going to be Deadpool, Batman v Superman, and Civil War. And I think Civil War is going to be probably the best movie this year. That's my guess going into it. Don't get me wrong, I think Deadpool still may in my heart be it, depending, but we'll see. Point is, three movies of my, these 3 movies, Batman v Superman didn't quite live up to my expectations, but again, it still gave us some good stuff. And just gleaming the positive from it is my final thoughts. Just gleaming the positives we got going forward. We have a great Batman. We have great actor, kind of neat little universe set up here. Mm-hmm. Let's just say the idea that Batman might be tied to kind of helping form our Justice League, which would be really cool.
I think there's promise for Lex Luthor moving forward. I think if they take him in a new direction, I'm still holding out hope that Eisenberg can really nail it out of the park in the next one.
Again, I think in terms of setup, I think Wonder Woman has been set up well, and an eyebrow has been raised. Let's see more of this one. What she got? I think again, big thing, just kind of broadly Batman. Again, kind of talking about the future. J.K. Simmons is Jim Gordon, which, by the way, funny enough, in the most recent Batman story in the comics, Super Heavy, it's funny that when J.K. Simmons was cast, it's completely by coincidence, it's not only modeled after him or anything, Jim Gordon with the mustache shaved off and kind of the shaved head looks identical.
I completely forgot about that.
Because he looks identical to J.K. Simmons and Whiplash, just maybe a little bit of hair in the middle there, but that's J.K. Simmons from...
Me, when I was up visiting Monkey, me and him had lunch at this diner, and there was a guy that looked exactly like J.K. Simmons sitting like 2 booths away from us, and it was really distracting.
Well, did you ask him if he was rushing your dragons?
I wanted to go up and ask if he wanted me to go out and try and get some pictures of Spider-Man.
Okay, the point is, we did get some positive things from this film. Again, some great.
I don't think this is as big of a train wreck as people are making it out to be, but I do think it's a mixed bag.
They are jumping on because again, there was so much. The last thing to say on, I swear to you, there was so much expectation put on this movie. Again, they were trying something very ambitious with this movie, trying to do kind of like a Avengers in one shot, essentially.
Right.
And all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC's, there's been a lot of build for this, and it feels bittersweet that they even took an additional year to kind of put this out because they had extra stuff to squeeze in there. And you know what? It just, I wish they could have had like another pass at it or something, just to kind of streamline or kind of make it the story we hoped it was going to be. But again, take what you can get from it. Hope for the best next time. And it was when it was good, when it was great. It was great, but when it was not so great, it was apparent.
Well said. All right, so without further ado, the red cakes are coming.
Right?
The red cakes are coming.
You will.